What if a quantum jump isn't just a metaphor, but a real process happening, not only inside atoms, but also inside your mind? Imagine in the smallest corners of reality, particles don't move in slow, steady steps. They leap. They vanish from one state and appear in another. And now imagine if you could do the same with your life. This isn't science fiction. It's the truth hidden in plain sight. Quantum jumps are not just a poetic idea. They are observed facts in physics. Electrons don't crawl their way from one orbit to another. They disappear from one level and suddenly reappear on a higher one. No in-between. No waiting. And here's the part that most people don't realize. You are built from the same energy that performs those leaps. In this video, you're going to learn why quantum jumping is not a figure of speech. It's a process. A process you can use. A process that can change the way you see yourself, your choices, and your future. Stay with me, because once you understand this, you'll never see reality the same way again. Here's what's fascinating. For decades, scientists believed quantum jumps were instant, unexplainable flashes. But new research shows something deeper. They can actually be predicted. They can even be interrupted. That means reality isn't random chaos. It's responsive. It's waiting for a trigger. Doesn't that sound familiar? Haven't you felt moments in your own life where one decision, one shift in focus, made everything different? That's not coincidence. That's your personal version of a quantum jump. Now, why is this so important for you? Because if you've been stuck, if you've been repeating the same patterns, if you've been living the same story day after day, it doesn't have to take years to change. Transformation doesn't have to be slow. Like an electron, you can jump. Not gradually, instantly, but only if you understand how the process works. Throughout this video, we'll explore what this process really means. You'll discover how belief acts like energy, pushing you to higher levels. You'll see how imagination, when used with emotion, becomes the fuel that launches you into another state of being. You'll learn why small shifts in your perspective build momentum, until suddenly the leap is unavoidable. And you'll understand how your brain, through neuroplasticity, is wired to reshape itself every time you choose a new thought, a new focus, a new version of yourself. This isn't about fantasy. This is about using the same principles that govern the tiniest building blocks of the universe and applying them to your life. Because just as an electron jumps to a higher orbit when it absorbs energy, you can jump into a higher version of yourself when you absorb new intention, new focus, new energy. So don't look away. Don't let your old self talk you into turning this off. By the end of this video, you'll see why quantum jumping is not just a clever metaphor. It's a map. A map to shift your reality, not someday, not gradually, but now. Are you ready to make the leap? Before we talk about the process of quantum jumping in our own lives, we need to look at where this term truly comes from: physics. In the world of atoms, things don't move the way we're used to. We imagine change as smooth and gradual, like water flowing or a car driving from one point to another. But at the smallest level of reality, change doesn't always follow that rule. Instead, atoms have a secret. When an electron shifts its position inside an atom, it doesn't slide slowly to a new spot. It disappears from one state and reappears in another. That sudden leap is called a quantum jump. To understand this better, picture an atom like a miniature solar system. The nucleus sits in the center, and electrons move around it in what we call energy levels. Each energy level can be thought of as a distinct rung on a ladder. But here's the strange part. Electrons don't climb that ladder one step at a time. When the atom absorbs energy, say from light or heat, the electron vanishes from one rung and instantly shows up on another, higher rung. There is no halfway position. The jump is total and immediate. This isn't a theory or a metaphor. It's a measured scientific event. Researchers have observed it, quantified it, and used it to build some of the most important technologies we have today. Lasers, transistors, And even the very screens we use to watch videos are made possible by this principle of quantum jumps. It is proof that reality on the smallest scales behaves in ways that challenge our common sense. What's even more fascinating is how precise this process is. Electrons don't jump randomly. Each energy level inside an atom has a very specific value. That means an electron can only leap from one defined level to another. It cannot stop in between. It must take the full step or not move at all. When it makes that leap, it either absorbs a specific amount of energy to rise higher, or it releases energy in the form of light when it drops back down. This is why stars shine, why neon lights glow, and why chemistry works. The universe itself runs on these tiny sudden transitions. Scientists used to believe these jumps were instant like a flick of a switch. But recent research has revealed something even more intriguing. Quantum jumps can sometimes be tracked in real time. They appear to have a beginning, a middle and an end, almost like a process unfolding in hidden dimensions. In fact, experiments have shown that with careful observation, it is possible to predict when a jump is about to occur and in some cases even interrupt it. This discovery shook the old belief that these jumps were completely random and unpredictable. Think about that for a moment. At the heart of matter, energy is not just moving blindly, it is shifting in sudden leaps, following patterns, and responding to external triggers. That means quantum jumps are not only real, but they are also signs of a deeper intelligence within the fabric of reality. Every atom, every particle in your body, is already performing these leaps countless times each second. The universe is built on them. When quantum jumps were first discovered, scientists thought they happened in an instant. An electron seemed to disappear from one orbit and suddenly appear in another, with no warning and no in-between. For many years this was accepted as the rule. Quantum jumps were seen as unpredictable flashes of change, almost like lightning in the microscopic world. But as technology advanced and scientists learned how to observe atoms more closely, a new picture began to emerge. What was once thought of as instantaneous began to reveal itself as a process that could be tracked, studied, and even influenced. Recent experiments have shown that quantum jumps are not as random as we once believed. In fact, they can evolve gradually over time. Researchers have used highly sensitive equipment to monitor single atoms, capturing the moment just before a jump takes place. Instead of being a sudden unknowable leap, the transition unfolds in a way that can be observed step by step. This is revolutionary, because it shows that even in the unpredictable world of quantum physics, there are patterns and signals we can learn to read. One of the most surprising discoveries is that these jumps can be predicted. By paying close attention to the subtle signals an atom gives off, scientists can often tell when an electron is about to make the leap to another energy level. It's like watching a storm cloud build in the sky. You may not know the exact second lightning will strike, but you can feel the charge in the air, and recognize that a storm is coming. In the same way the atom reveals its readiness for a jump, this means the event is not completely random. It is influenced by the conditions around it, and it leaves traces of its coming before it happens. Even more astonishing is the discovery that some quantum jumps can be reversed once they begin. This was once thought impossible. For decades the belief was that once an electron started its leap, the process could not be undone. But new research proves otherwise. By applying the right kind of stimulus at the right moment, scientists have been able to stop the jump midway and return the atom to its original state. Imagine watching someone about to step through a door, and at the last second gently guiding them back into the room they were leaving. That's essentially what happens on the quantum scale when a jump is interrupted and reversed. These findings change the way we think about the quantum world. Instead of being a mysterious place where everything happens without cause, we now see it as a system with hidden rules and signals. The fact that jumps can be tracked, predicted and even undone, shows us that reality at the smallest level is not just random chaos. It's a living process, unfolding with precision, and sometimes with opportunities to intervene. This deeper understanding opens the door to new possibilities in science and technology, reminding us that even the most sudden changes carry a story within them. Over time, the phrase quantum jump moved beyond the laboratory and entered our everyday language. Scientists first used it strictly to describe what happened inside atoms, but the idea of a sudden leap from one state to another caught people's imagination. It became a powerful metaphor for change. In ordinary speech, when someone talks about making a quantum leap in their life, they don't mean electrons or atoms. They mean a sudden dramatic shift in perspective, awareness or understanding. The same way an electron doesn't move gradually, but instantly appears on a higher level, a person can also experience a moment where everything changes in an instant. This metaphor found a natural place in the world of psychology, self-development, and even spirituality. Human beings don't always grow in slow linear steps. Sometimes we struggle for years with old habits, confusion, or fear. Then one day something happens, an insight, an experience, a new piece of knowledge, and it feels like we've leapt into a new state of mind. The struggle may not have prepared us for the exact moment, but suddenly everything looks different. That's why the term quantum jump feels so fitting. It captures the feeling of leaving behind an old level of awareness and arriving at a higher one without going through every possible in-between stage. In mental health, this kind of leap can show up as a breakthrough. Someone might spend months battling with limiting beliefs or emotional pain, and then through therapy, reflection, or a moment of clarity, they suddenly see things in a completely new way. The weight of the past lifts and they begin to act differently, almost as if they are living in a different reality. This transformation may not look like much from the outside, but on the inside it feels monumental, like a new version of life has opened up. The metaphor of the quantum jump perfectly describes this experience because it communicates the speed and totality of the change. In personal growth, the idea of quantum jumping is also used to describe rapid breakthroughs in belief systems. Our beliefs act like the energy levels in an atom, holding us in certain patterns. As long as we stay within them, our life feels predictable, almost stuck. But when we challenge those beliefs and open ourselves to new possibilities, we can jump into a completely different level of thinking. A person who once believed they were limited can suddenly realize they are capable of much more. This moment of recognition can spark new choices, new behaviors, and eventually a new life path. Even in everyday experiences, people often report sudden emotional shifts that feel like quantum jumps. One conversation, one book, or one powerful event can completely change how they see themselves or the world. What seemed impossible yesterday can feel natural today. It's as if their inner world reorganized itself in an instant. This is why the term caught on so strongly outside of physics. It describes not just physical reality, but also the inner leaps that define human transformation. It's important to recognize that quantum jumping is not just a poetic way to talk about change. It's more than a clever metaphor. It is a process, something you can practice, something you can use deliberately to shift your reality. Just as an electron requires energy to make its leap inside an atom, you also need the right kind of energy to move from one version of yourself to another. This isn't about waiting for life to surprise you. It's about choosing to engage with the process and making it work in your favor. When you look at your own life, you'll notice that transformation often feels out of reach when approached step by step. People get stuck in routines, habits, and old beliefs because they expect change to be slow and linear. But quantum jumping shows us another way. Instead of crawling through endless small adjustments, you can prepare yourself for a sudden shift. That leap can take you from a state of fear to courage, from doubt to clarity, from limitation to possibility. It is not about ignoring gradual growth, but about recognizing that big changes often happen when the right conditions align.
And when you understand how the process works, you can create those conditions yourself. The first step in seeing it as a process is understanding that your mind and emotions act like the energy that fuels the jump. When you focus your intention clearly, when you imagine and feel a new reality as if it already exists, you are charging yourself with the same energy an atom needs to climb to a higher level. Without energy, the electron stays where it is. Without intention and belief, you also remain stuck in the same patterns. But when you add that spark, you give yourself the power to move into a completely new state. This process is not random, just as in physics, where an electron can only move to specific energy levels. You also have access to specific states of being. You can't become a different person altogether in one moment, but you can shift into the next highest version of yourself, the version that holds more confidence, more peace, or more determination. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes to leap instead of crawl, to rise instead of repeat. Seeing quantum jumping as a process also gives you a sense of control. Instead of waiting for life to push you into change through crisis or struggle, you can actively create by choosing new thoughts, practicing new emotions, and visualizing the life you want. You are guiding your mind to align with a different where the inner mode to align with a different reality. What once seemed like chance becomes a conscious act. The leap doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you invite it, energize it, and allow it. So this isn't just about adopting a nice metaphor to make change sound exciting. It's about practicing a repeatable method of transformation. Quantum jumping shows that the leap is available when you decide to step into it with energy, focus, and intention. Belief systems are like invisible filters that shape how we see the world. Every thought, every decision, and they act as the lens through which if the lens is cloudy or narrow, the view is limited. If the lens is clear and wide, suddenly more possibilities become visible. This is why two people can look at the same situation and experience it in completely different ways. What one person sees as an obstacle, another may see as an opportunity. The difference is not the event itself, it's the belief system that filters it. When you hold a certain belief, your mind automatically looks for evidence to support it. If you believe you're unlucky, you'll notice every disappointment and overlook every small win. If you believe opportunities are rare, you'll ignore the doors that quietly open around you. These filters are powerful because they don't just color your perception, they also shape your behavior. Believing you can't succeed may stop you from even trying, and that lack of effort becomes the very success doesn't arrive. In this way, beliefs don't just describe they create it. Shifting belief systems is like changing the filter on a camera. Suddenly the lens looks brighter, clearer, and more open. When you choose to believe something different about yourself or about the world, you begin to access a new version of it. For example, if you replace the belief, "I'm always struggling," with "I'm learning to grow stronger through challenges," then life's difficulties take on a completely. The same events may happen, but they no longer keep you trapped. Instead, they guide you to a new state of being, one with more resilience and power. This is where the idea of quantum jumping connects to belief. Just as electrons cannot rise to a new energy level without receiving a spark of energy, you cannot rise to a new state of being without shifting the beliefs that hold you in place. Old beliefs are like gravity, they keep you circling at the same level. New beliefs act like wings, lifting you into higher states of awareness. Every time you challenge a limiting belief and choose a more expansive one, you open a doorway to a new reality. What's remarkable is how quickly things can change once the filter is adjusted. A single shift in belief can create a cascade of changes in thought, emotion, and behavior. It may feel as though you've stepped into a completely different world, even if your external circumstances haven't changed yet. That's because the reality you experience begins first in the mind. By altering the filter, you begin to notice different opportunities, attract different experiences, and respond in ways that align with your new state. In this way, belief systems are not fixed walls but flexible gateways. They can be reshaped and redirected at any moment. And with each shift you move closer to the reality that reflects your highest potential. Visualization is more than data. It is the mind's way of rehearsing reality before it arrives. In the process of quantum jumping, vivid visualization becomes the fuel that powers the leap. When you imagine a new version of yourself with clear your brain begins to respond as though it is already happening. The mind does not fully distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically real. This is why athletes visualize themselves winning races and performers rehearse in their minds before stepping onto the stage. They are preparing the brain and body to act as though success is all. The key is vividness. A vague picture in your mind will not carry the same energy as a clear, detailed vision. When you visualize, you want to see the colors, hear the sounds and feel the textures of your new reality. The more senses you involve, the stronger the impact. If you are imagining a new career, don't just see yourself at a desk. Imagine the conversations, the energy in the room, the feeling of accomplishment at the end of the day. If you are picturing yourself healthier, don't stop at the image of your body. Feel the strength in your muscles, the ease in your breath, the lightness in your movement. Vividness transforms imagination into an experience your brain begins to accept as true. But visualization alone is not enough. The real power comes when emotion is added. Emotion acts like the electricity that charges the vision. Without it, the image may remain flat. Like a painting on a wall, with emotion it comes alive and begins to reshape your inner state. When you feel the joy of already, when you allow gratitude, excitement or peace to flow through you during visualization, your body begins to respond physically. Hormones shift, stress lowers, and your nervous system aligns with the state. Hormones shift, stress lowers and your nervous system aligns with the state you are imagining. You are no longer pretending. You are embodied. This emotional involvement is what tells your subconscious mind, this is real. The subconscious responds not to logic but to the feeling. It takes the emotional charge of the vision as evidence and begins to adjust your patterns, behaviors, and even your perception of opportunities to match it. That is why someone who practices visualization with strong emotion often finds doors opening in unexpected ways. Their inner world has shifted, and the outer world begins to reflect that shift. In quantum jumping, the combination of vivid detail and emotional energy mirrors the leap of an electron. The atom cannot move to a higher state without absorbing energy. Likewise, you cannot jump to a new version of yourself without the process with both clear imagination and charged emotion. Together they create the spark that propels you into the next level of the vision paints the destination and the emotion provides the energy to reach it. When people hear the phrase quantum jump, they often imagine a dramatic transformation, as if life will suddenly shift in one single explosive moment. While that can happen, the truth is that most lasting change is built through subtle cumulative shifts. It's easy to overlook these smaller movements because they don't always feel extraordinary in the moment. Yet they are the quiet signals that the process is working. Just as an electron prepares before its leap by absorbing energy, your own growth often gathers strength through small adjustments that eventually lead to a larger transformation. Think of it like the growth of a tree. You don't notice the daily changes in height, but over time the branches stretch wider, the trunk grows thicker, and the roots dig deep. Change in your life often follows the same pattern. A small shift in your mindset, a slightly different choice in your routine, or even a moment of awareness where you pause instead of reacting in an old way. All of these add up. Alone, they may not seem like much, but together they create the momentum sum for a leap that looks sudden from the outside, even though it was building quietly all along. Recognizing these small signs is essential because it keeps you motivated and aware of your progress. If you're waiting only for the big breakthrough, You might miss the gentle confirmations that you are already on your way, a subtle feeling of calm where you once felt anxious. A new idea that arrives at just the right moment, or a slight shift in how others respond to you. These are not coincidences. They are part of the process. By acknowledging them, you train yourself to see that transformation is unfolding, even if it isn't dramatic yet. In fact, these small shifts are often more important than the sudden leap, because they create stability. If you were to jump from one extreme to another without preparation, it might feel overwhelming or even unsustainable. The subtle adjustments prepare your mind and emotions to hold the new state once you arrive there. They give you the strength to stay grounded while stepping into a higher version of yourself. It's like tuning an instrument before playing a song. The small adjustments ensure that when the music begins, it is harmonious. This is why patience and awareness are key to quantum jumping as a process. The jump is not just the final leap, it's the accumulation of every small step that led up to it. Each time you notice a subtle shift, you're witnessing the process in motion, and the more you recognize these signs, the more confidence you build in your ability to transform. You stop doubting whether change is possible because you can feel it happening, even in the quietest way. Over time, those small movements gather into the energy needed for what looks like a sudden transformation. But in reality, it was a series of subtle victories that made the leap possible. When we think about the process of quantum jumping, it's important to understand that doesn't just live in the abstract or mystical realm. It has very real parallels in how the human brain works. Modern research in psychology and neuroscience has shown that the mind has an extraordinary ability to rewire itself. This means that when you consistently focus on a thought, image or intention, your brain begins to create new neural pathways that support that vision. Over time, those patterns become stronger and start influencing your choices, behaviors, and even your perception of reality. This is where the practice of mental rehearsal and visualization becomes a powerful tool in making a jump feel less like an idea and more like a lived reality. Mental rehearsal is the process of imagining yourself performing a certain action or living in a certain state before it physically happens. Athletes use this technique to improve their performance. Actors use it to embody a character, and many successful individuals use it to prepare their minds for success before it actually unfolds. The brain responds to mental rehearsal in almost the same way it responds to actual practice. When you visualize yourself confidently speaking, achieving your goals, or embodying a new version of you, your brain fires similar neural networks as it would if you were physically performing that activity. This essentially primes your nervous system for the experience, making the transition into that new state smoother and more natural. Visualization isn't just about picturing something, it's about engaging your senses and emotions fully. When you imagine your desired state, the more detail you can include, the more your subconscious mind accepts it as real. For example, if you are visualizing a new career path, don't just see the office or the workspace. Hear the conversations. Feel the sense of accomplishment in your body. Notice the environment around you. When your mind is saturated with these sensory details, the visualization creates a powerful imprint on your brain. This is where intention blends with fear, creating the conditions for actual change. Intention is the directing force behind these mental practices. Without a clear intention, visualization can remain passive or unfocused. But when you set a firm intention, what you truly desire, why it matters, and how it aligns with your deeper self, you activate a kind of mental compass. This compass keeps drawing your in actions toward experiences that align with your envisioned outcome. Over time, this begins to change the way you act, the opportunities you notice, and even the energy you give off in daily life. The combination of mental rehearsal, vivid visualization, and clear intention does something profound. It reshapes the way your brain is wired. Old patterns that once held you back weaken from love, while new empowering patterns grow stronger. This is why what may seem like a leap is a jump into a new reality can actually be explained by this gradual rewiring. You are quite literally training your brain and body to live in the states you've chosen. The more consistent the practice, the more natural this becomes, until what once felt like imagination turns into your lived reality. This is the science and prose that makes the metaphor of quantum jumping something tangible and accessible. Let's bring everything together now. We've seen that a quantum jump is not just a scientific curiosity and not just a catchy method. It is a process you can engage in with clarity and intention. It reminds us that change doesn't have to be random or accidental. It can be created by shifting your beliefs, rehearse new realms in your mind, and practicing the emotions of the life you want to live. Quantum jumping becomes powerful when you realize it's not about waiting for something dramatic to happen. It's about aligning yourself step by step, thought by thought, feeling by feeling. It's about training your brain and body to accept it. New state is real until it becomes natural. When you commit to this practice, the subtle shifts accumulate, and before long, the leap you've been waiting for begins to unfold. This isn't magic, it's deliberate transformation. And it starts with your mind. If you found this message inspiring, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more powerful insights.